Hi, my name is Rex Montcastle, and I'm going to talk to you about retrieval practices. Learning objectives. The learning objectives that I'm going to cover will help students explain and illustrate other ways of studying. Number 1, in the next few slides, I will explain what retrieval practice is and give you examples. Number 2, I will explain what spaced learning is and how it works to retain information. And number 3, I will also explain what interleave or mixing up learning means and how it helps improve learning. Problem statement. Cramming. Students cram to try to study for exams. They fall short of their expectations sometimes. Students are not taught how to study, and they usually get wrong advice when they are. Therefore, they tend to gravitate to cramming, thinking it will help them learn the material. Reading. Students try to reread over material thinking that it will sink in, but unfortunately it doesn't. Highlighting. Highlighting is another way students try to study. It makes your papers colorful, but it doesn't help. Mass practice. Students do mass practice thinking that it will help studying. What you get is a lot of papers and books. Mass practice does help some students pass exams, but others will fail the exams or quizzes because of these incorrect study habits. These types of studying are short-lived, and students usually forget the information within a few days of learning the material. Content overview. What is it and why we do it? Retrieval practice information from memory. Retrieval strengthens memory and interrupts forgetting. Take a scenario for recalling information. Pretend you are a pilot. Which method would give you better recall from memory? Flying a plane in a flight simulator or sitting through a PowerPoint presentation about flight? Hopefully everyone said the flight simulator, because your brain is constantly recalling what it needs to do to keep the plane in the air and level, watching your instruments and continuously reacting. A study in 2007 was done at Columbia Middle School on test-enhanced learning in the classroom, long-term improvements for quizzing. The study showed that students who were quizzed more often on material they had covered throughout the year and had the material presented for additional studying throughout the year ended up doing better on the year-end exams by about 92%, confirming the long-term benefit of retrieval practice. Spaced learning. Spaced learning is taking condensed material and studying or quizzing yourself over a period of several days. Benefits of spacing out learning has proven research that it works. Take the study called Teaching Surgical Skills, What Kind of Practice Makes Perfect by Moulton, Dubosky, McRae, Graham, Brober, and Resnick. They took a sample of surgical residents and they did a series of 4 lessons in microsurgery. The lessons consisted of instructions followed by practice. Half of them did the lessons in a single day, and the other half did all 4 lessons, but they had a week in between each lesson. By the time the test came around, the students with a week interval had a better test score, proving that spacing out your learning has benefits. Interleave. Interleave practice is learning 2 or more topic types at one time, also known as jumping around with your material that you are studying. The idea is to know when to use a strategy instead of knowing how to use it. Take a study of mathematic problems by Rohr and Taylor on the shuffling of mathematic problems improves learning. The study took students in a math class. Half of the students were given a cluster of problems by problem type to solve. The other half were given the same problems, but the sequence was mixed rather than clustered by problem type. During the practice, the students who worked the problems in the cluster form got 89% right compared to 60% who worked the problems that were in a mixed sequence. By the time the final test came around a week later, the students working the clustered problems scored 20% compared to those students who worked the mixed problems, which scored 63%. This shows that interleave works. Suggestions for how we do it. Suggestion number 1, retrieval practice. The best type of retrieval practice is the more cognitive effort that is required, the better the retention result. Once you learn material, you will want to quiz yourself after a period of time. Delayed retrieval requires more effort and reinforces retention. Suggestion number 2, space your learning. Condensed learning is repeated several times over a series of days. The idea is to study the material, then put it down for a couple of days, pick it up, and study again, then put it back down for another few days. By practicing this method, it builds your recall memory while storing it in the long-term memory area. Suggestion number 3, mix up your learning. Mix multiple subjects while studying in order to improve your learning. This helps you to concentrate more on the material to keep things straight in your mind. Retrieval is harder, therefore producing a longer lasting learning experience. When reading the material, your mind is continuously refreshing itself, focusing on what you are reading, and forces you to think about the material you are reading and how it relates. Summary. Use retrieval practice when it comes time to study. You will be less stressed, and you don't have to cram, highlight, reread, or do mass practicing. Those tactics do not work and are short-lived. Using retrieval practice by quizzing yourself on a new material that you have learned. Remember, give yourself a few days or weeks before quizzing yourself. Memory retrieval that requires effort reinforces long-term memory. Use spaced learning by spreading your review of material over several days and resting before reviewing it again. You will build long-term memory this way, and you will be able to have a better sense of recall. Mix up or interleave your learning by not doing mass practicing. You will be able to concentrate more clearly on the material. Don't study your material in order. Skip around. Remember, this forces you to concentrate on the material and helps you focus on it. It may not make sense, but it will also help you retain the information. By using these tactics, I think you will see an improvement on how you study and retain information, and I think you will be surprised how simple it is to do.